Awesome. So this is our very last panel of the Bold Strokes bookathon. So thank you all for hanging in there with me. The recordings will be live on Facebook soon. If you have missed anything, you can check them out there. But we have an amazing reading panel for you called This Feels Different, all about early curiosity in romance novels. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Ronica Black. If everyone else can please shut off their video and audio, we'll give Ronnie the floor, and she can go ahead and introduce herself and her book and start her reading.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ronica Black. Everyone calls me Ronnie. Today I'm going to be reading from my book called The Secrets of Viridian Hill. I don't know if you can see that. Back it up a little bit. But I'm going to read you the synopsis because it's probably much better at explaining the book than I am. So, a doctor in need of a new start, a woman running from a killer, a love story that could end in tragedy. When Dr. Gianna Walford finds her girlfriend in bed with another woman, she needs a new start, and Cliffside, a small seaside town in Oregon, is just the place. Getting to know her patients on a personal level and making old-fashioned house calls is a nice change from hospital bureaucracy. On one of those house calls, she meets the beautiful but mysterious Kiera. She's kind and unassuming, but extremely guarded and private. Intrigued and determined to help Kiera's ailing neighbor, Gianna makes numerous visits only to discover more than she bargained for. Jenny McAllister witnessed a murder, escaped a killer, and reinvented herself in Cliffside as Kiera Davenport. So when Gianna arrives and interests her, first with her good looks and compassion, and then with her relentless curiosity, Jenny is more than unnerved. With a killer searching and willing to do anything to silence her, she can't let anyone close or her real identity will be discovered. Okay, so now I'm going to read you chapter 17 when Dr. Gianna Walford kind of stumbles upon Kiera for the second time. She recognized her from running into her the first time, but this is the first time they actually interact. Gianna swiped the screen on her tablet as Lizzie quietly drove. The late afternoon was gray and drizzling with rain. The wipers moaned against the windshield, trying to entice her to nap, and Gianna was glad that this was their last patient of the day. Supposedly, anyway. It wouldn't surprise her to see another lingering patient back at the house once they returned. However, someone always seemed to need care day and night, just like at the hospital. She didn't mind, though. The people were kind, grateful, and genuine, and each had their own personal story to tell. Viridian Hill, Gianna said, reading the address. They turned just before the foggy bluff and were driving slowly downhill, where the fog seemed to grow thicker. They made a left-hand turn onto a dirt road, and soon the angled roof of a house came into view, along with the slate-gray sea, which seemed to be churning rather angrily. Yep, this is old Abigail Viridian's house. Old Abigail? She didn't appreciate the description. It's just what she's known as. Well, let's not refer to her as such, okay? She's our patient. So it's Mrs. Viridian. Miss Viridian. Lizzie laughed. What? They stopped close to the porch and Gianna cracked her door, ready to grab her medical bag and hurry up the steps to escape the rain. Miss Viridian, she's not exactly a warm and fuzzy type of patient. No? Just wait, you'll see. They climbed out, grabbed their gear, and trotted up the steps to knock on the door. Gianna brushed her hair back from her face and smoothed down her heavy sweater and khaki slacks. Dots of rain decorated her clothing and dampened her hair, but there was nothing she could do about it. She hoped she still looked professional enough. A voice growled from behind the door. Who is it? It's Lizzie and the doc, Abigail, Lizzie said. Miss Viridian, Gianna quietly corrected her. Lizzie covered her mouth and then spoke again. Miss Viridian, we're here for your appointment. The door creaked open and a pale but weathered face peered out. Why in the hell are you calling me Miss Viridian? She turned and walked away further into the house, leaving them to fend for themselves. Lizzie entered first and Gianna followed. The house was open but dim with the overcast light from the storm. It was warmer than outside, but not by much. Yet Miss Viridian wore nothing but an old shawl over a long-sleeved knit shirt and black knit pants with tattered house slippers. A tea kettle whistled from the stovetop, and Miss Viridian went to tend to it. You want some tea? She asked with her back to them. I would love some, Lizzie said, setting their bags on the coffee table. The house was roomy and pleasantly aged, the furniture being just as old and worn in. Several colorful knitted blankets were strewn across the couch and chairs, and the lamps were Tiffany style with stained glass shades. At one time, the home must have been quite beautiful. You have a lovely home, Miss Ridian, Gianna said, opening her bag to pull out her stethoscope. There you go again with the Miss Ridian. She turned with 2 cups of tea in her red-knuckled hands. Why in the hell are you calling me that? She looked up and locked eyes with Gianna. Her eyes grew big and then instantly slitted. Who in the hell are you? Gianna looked to Lizzie, whose eyes had also widened. I'm Dr. Gianna Walford. Who? Where's Doc B? Lizzie stammered. Now, Abigail, we told you last time we were here that Doc B was retiring. No, you didn't. We did, sweetie, and he's gone now. Moved down to Arizona with Trixie and the dogs. But Dr. Walford is taking his place. Get out of my house, she barked. Gianna blinked, shocked. But Miss Ridian, I said get out of my house. She threw the teacups to the ground, shattering the ceramic and spilling hot tea all over the kitchen floor. Gianna jerked and moved to gather her things, but Lizzie shook her head at her, causing her to halt. Now, Abigail, is there any way to act toward our new doctor? I don't give a good goddamn. Lizzie gently led her around the mess on the floor to a well-worn chair in the corner of the living room. She eased her down, with Mrs. Ridian slapping at her hands in defiance. Gianna quickly cleaned up the mess on the floor with paper towels. The teacups weren't salvageable, so she had to toss them, but she was able to get all the pieces and the tea up without issue. She washed her hands in the sink and returned to the living room where Lizzie sat in front of Miss Ridian, gripping her hands, trying to convince her to calm down. But she kept fussing, insisting on seeing Doc B. Gianna spoke. Miss Ridian, I know this must be quite a shock, but I'm only here to help. She glared at Gianna with dark, brooding eyes. My name is Abigail. Get that through your thick skull, young lady. Yes, okay, Abigail. Can I call someone for you? Someone who can come be with you while we're here? Lizzie spoke. She doesn't have anyone. She's all alone. She looked back to Abigail. This is why you need to let us treat you, Abigail. You don't have anyone else to care for you. The hell I don't. Abigail yanked her hands away from her and reached for the phone on the end table. She lifted the receiver, glanced at a small notebook full of handwritten phone numbers, and dialed. Lizzie seemed perplexed. She shrugged at Gianna as Abigail ordered someone she called Kid to come to the house right away. She hung up with a grumble and crossed her arms. She'll be here any second. Who will? Lizzie asked. My new caretaker. But, sweetie, you don't have a caretaker. I do now. She moved into the cottage next door. Lizzie straightened. What? Someone is living in the cottage? That's what I said. Lizzie seemed distraught, and Gianna couldn't figure out why the news seemed so concerning. Hearing that Abigail had someone to look after her, someone so close, sounded like good news. Who is it? How do you know this person? Lizzie asked. She's the niece of a good friend of mine, and that's all you need to know. Now quit going on about it. There was a soft knock at the door. Abigail, you okay? The door eased open and a woman stepped in, leaving Gianna speechless. It wasn't just the fact that she was breathtakingly beautiful, it was the fact that she had seen her somewhere before. The woman blinked at her, reddened, and then turned like she was about to leave. Kid, come on in, Abigail said, and close the door. Slowly the woman did as instructed. She limped to the couch and stood awkwardly with her cane. That's when Gianna remembered. She had seen her back in Flagstaff, leaving a restaurant with an older man who had seemed rather possessive of her. Their brief encounter had first intrigued her and then left her quite alarmed. Who was she? Why was she so scraped and bruised? And why was the man so possessive? This is, Abigail started. Kiara, the woman finished, but she still wouldn't look at Gianna. She remembers me too. I told you I had someone, Abigail said, interrupting Gianna's thoughts. Now you all can leave. I'm fine. Kiara will take good care of me, won't you, kid? Yes, ma'am. You're her caretaker? Lizzie asked in disbelief. Kiara hesitated. Yes. Then you won't mind convincing her to let the doctor examine her. Doctor? Gianna stuck out her hand. I'm Dr. Gianna Walford. Oh, right. They shook hands and Gianna stared into her golden eyes as she finally looked at her. Do I know you from somewhere? Gianna tried. Maybe if she broke the ice, Kiera would relax. Me? No. Damn it, no dice. She wasn't going to admit their encounter, leaving Gianna to wonder why. Never mind then. I'm Lizzie, Lizzie said from her position in front of Abigail. Nice to meet you, Lizzie, Kiera smiled, but Gianna could tell she was still nervous. Abigail, Lizzie said, will you please allow Dr. Walford to take a look at you? It's just a checkup, nothing invasive. I don't want to answer no questions, she said. Would it be... Okay, Lizzie said, trying to appease her. No questions, just an exam. She stood and nodded at Gianna, who began her examination, taking everything very slowly. She found Abigail's vitals to be strong, especially her heart, and her breath sounds were clear. She had her stand and walk for her, which she did with a grumble. She seemed to have decent mobility, even with a severely curved back. Gianna wanted to ask her questions to get a better feel for how she was doing, but she knew she should wait. Thank you, Abigail, Gianna said. That's all for now. How about I make you some more tea, Lizzie said, while the doctor gets to know Kiera better. I reckon if you're hurting to do it, Abigail said, and she and Lizzie walked into the kitchen and began making more tea. Gianna pulled out her tablet and made notes, reminding herself to thank Lizzie later for distracting Abigail. She sat on the couch and asked Kiera to join her. How's she been doing? She asked softly. Pretty good, I'd say. Any mobility issues? She struggles with the stairs, but she manages. Gianna turned to look at the staircase. It concerned her. Her bedroom is upstairs? Yes. Is there any way she'd allow someone to move that downstairs for her? I doubt it. She's rather stubborn. I don't like the idea of her walking up those stairs alone. Oh, I'm usually here when she goes up for the night. Are you? That's good. We eat dinner together almost every evening, and I make it a point to stay as she goes up to bed. Then I lock up and leave. I'm glad you do that, but still I'm concerned. She will get to a point, probably in the not-so-distant future, where she won't be able to manage them. So try to hint to her that moving her bedroom downstairs might not be such a bad idea. I'll try. How about her sleep? Anything unusual? She naps once a day and turns in early, not long after dinner. How's her appetite? I'd say small, okay. She tends to eat the most at dinner. Gianna pulled up her history and gave it another quick read. Her memory, better, worse, the same? I don't really know how to answer that. I haven't been here very long. Gianna met her gaze. Well, have you noticed anything as far as memory issues? Kiera glanced back at Abigail as if to make sure she wasn't paying attention. Then she explained the things she'd noticed, and Gianna nodded and continued to take notes. When she finished, she pushed out a breath. That, too, I'm sad to say, will continue to progress. She eyed Kiera's cane. And how are you doing? Is this an old injury? My knee? No, it's recent. Has it been looked at? She reddened again. No. Gianna sensed her anxiousness and decided to push very gently. Why don't you call the office on Monday and make an appointment to come see me? She smiled, hoping to put her at ease. But Kiera turned away and cleared her throat. You appear to be struggling when you walk, Gianna said. Are you in any pain? Some. All the more reason to come see me. She handed her new card. Please call me on Monday. Kiera took the card and stared at it. How much? To see you. Is money a concern? Right now, yes, I don't have insurance. Gianna searched her face, hoping to find answers to her silent questions. But there was only fear and sorrow. It tugged at her heart. Would it be okay if I examined you now, then? Right now? Would that be okay? She seemed to think a moment, then nodded. Great. Gianna slid the coffee table away from her and knelt. Is it okay if I push up your pant leg? Kiera visibly swallowed, but nodded once again. Gianna gently slid up the leg of her pants and carefully examined her knee. She felt the soft tissue and the patella and then had her extend and retract as best she could. She definitely was in pain, and the injury needed more attention as there was difficulty with movement and some extensive swelling. I'd say it's very irritated, Gianna said. How exactly did you hurt it? Kiera stared at her. It was a car accident. Oh, I see. She wanted to ask her more about that, but she refrained, not wanting to scare her off. Well, you've definitely hurt yourself, Kiera. Probably just a strain, but I can't say for sure right now. You need to come to the office for an x-ray. We won't worry about a charge, okay? I can't let you do that. You can, just this once. She winked at her and gently patted her thigh before lowering her pant leg. But let's not tell anyone, okay? I've got a reputation to build. She stood. Kiara smiled slightly. So you'll call? Gianna asked, to make an appointment for that x-ray? She nodded. Very good. In the meantime, take an over-the-counter painkiller, an anti-inflammatory like Advil or Leave. Keep the knee elevated and alternate ice and heat, 15 minutes at a time, a few times a day. Sound good? Yes. Do you need any help in caring for Abigail? Kiara once again looked back at the kitchen table where Abigail and Lizzie sat chatting and sipping hot tea. I don't think so. Not yet, anyway. So you're saying that right now she doesn't really need much one-on-one care? Correct. Then why did she insist that you're her caregiver? Kiara shrugged. Maybe she's trying to reassure you so you'll leave her alone. She doesn't like interference when it comes to her life. Yet she let you in. Why is that? Kiara blinked at her. I really couldn't tell you. But Gianna didn't try. There was more to the story there, she was certain. Just like she was certain that Kiara had been in some kind of trouble. But she supposed those were questions for another day. Be sure to call us if her care becomes too much for you to handle, she finally added. I will. Gianna packed her bag and motioned for Lizzie, letting her know she was ready. Lizzie gave Abigail a quick squeeze, which Abigail grumbled about, and then joined Gianna at the door. They said their goodbyes and headed for the car in the cold, drizzling rain. So what's her story? Lizzie asked, referring to Kiara. They climbed in the SUV, and Lizzie started it up while Gianna wiped the damp from her face. I don't know, Gianna said, but there's definitely one there, and I intend to find out.
Oh, that was great. I almost felt like I was reading a Radcliffe book. And that is,
Well, that's a
a
very
high
high
compliment, as
compliment.
you
Thank
know.
you.
So thank
Well,
you for
thank
that.
you.
Yeah, I love that. It's great for early curiosity, and we get to see people kind of in their element doing their thing too. So very cool. Thank you, Ronnie. Next up, we have Sarah Levine.
Hi.
Hello, welcome. Please go ahead and start whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I'm going to be reading from about the first quarter of my third book, which comes out next month. It's called It's Never Going to Happen, and the damn blurriness is like I can't show the title. But essentially, this is a contemporary romance, and it is a kind of haters to lovers story between a woman who is the captain of a lobster boat and a kind of elevated chef. And they both have their own, personal histories and traumas and things that they're working through. But up until this point in the story, um, they haven't really been getting along. They've been butting heads a lot. And so this is the first moment where we see them kind of starting to let their guards down a little bit and connect. Gemma's the lobster boat captain, and Kay is the chef. And this is going to be from Kay's perspective. Hi, Gemma said. Hi, Kay said back. They stared at each other in silence for a moment before Kay blinked and remembered she should probably invite Gemma in. She opened the door wider and stood to the side. Come in, she said, stiff and formal, and cringed internally. Thank you, my lady, Gemma quipped, giving Kay a mock bow as she walked past her. Kay rolled her eyes. You can hang your jacket up over there, Kay said, pointing to a row of wooden pegs she had installed along the wall perpendicular to the kitchen. Her kitchen and living room were open plan, separated only by the formica-topped kitchen island. Kay watched Gemma hang up her coat and then turned around, swinging her arms awkwardly by her sides. Okay, she was hot. Kay could let herself admit that much. She looked scruffy and butch, standing there uncertainly in the space between living room and kitchen. Like at any moment, she could build Kay a deck, or change her tire, or hold her tenderly as she cried. Hold her not so tenderly as her rope-toughened hands explored every inch of Kay's body. Kay swallowed thickly and pinched her forearm to keep her thoughts from wandering. Where do you want me? Gemma asked, and Kay's mouth went slack. I mean, Gemma backtracked, seeming to hear the innuendo in her words. Where should I sit? She gestured to the couch and then to the bar stools lined up by the kitchen island. That had been one of Kay's favorite features, the idea that someone could sit and chat with her while she cooked. Dealer's choice, Kay said, and Gemma nodded. Can I get you something to drink? The food needs another 10 or so minutes before it's ready. I have some white wine in the fridge, though, if you want. Just water's fine, Gemma said. She settled herself on the stool at the kitchen island. I don't drink. Got it. Still or sparkling, Kay joked, and Gemma gave her a blank look. Restaurant humor, Kay clarified, and Gemma quirked her lips. Tap's fine, Gemma said, and Kay turned to busy herself with grabbing a cup from the cupboard and filling Gemma a glass from the tap. So, Gemma said after taking a sip from her glass and placing it on the bar, what's on the menu for tonight, chef? Kay blinked, remembering why Gemma was in her space. She surveyed the ingredients spread out before her and gathered her thoughts. Clearing her throat, she said in a rush, miso cod with a citrus relish, grilled sesame glazed bok choy, and shaved radish garnish. Whoa, Gemma said, eyes widening slightly. At least that's the idea, Kay said. She scratched behind her ear nervously. I'm not sure about some of the flavor notes, so don't hold back. Got it, Gemma said, tapping her fingers against the counter nervously. Okay, I'm going to go cook that now, Kay said, pointing to the stovetop behind her. Sure, have fun, Gemma said. I'll just sit here, I guess. What was wrong with her? Why was she being so awkward? She let herself get lost in the familiar rhythm of chopping and heating and turning and sautéing for the next 10 minutes, nearly forgetting Gemma was there. Every time she turned around, though, the sight of her sitting quietly at Kay's kitchen island was a bright shock to her system. She expected Gemma to take out her phone to snoop around Kay's apartment, but she sat there, seemingly transfixed by the work Kay was doing in the kitchen. I'm going to plate it all now, Kay said to Gemma as she lined the dishes up before her on the counter. She laid out the citrus relish in a half-moon pile and then used tongs to retrieve the leaves of bok choy and artfully lay 5 of them out on each plate before nestling the cod, skin side down, on top. She then used chopstick to place the thinly shaved pieces of radish on the cod and topped it with a sprinkle of thinly sliced scallions. She wiped off any extra drips of oil from the plates, then slid one over to Gemma. Gemma looked down at the plate before her, and Kay saw her throat bob as she swallowed. Kay suddenly regretted every single life choice she'd made that had led her to this moment. Sure, Gemma was about to say something scathing about how pretentious her plating had been. That was like watching an artist paint a picture, Gemma said softly, and Kay almost jumped out of her skin in surprise. Thanks, she said quietly, fiddling with the strings of her apron where they tied over her waist, not quite meeting Gemma's gaze. I mean, the chopsticks and the radish were overkill, Gemma said as she picked up the fork Kay had slid to her and inspected her fish. Kay rolled her eyes, but rather than feeling irritated or irked by the comment, she felt a grin spread across her lips. She picked up her own fork, staying on her side of the island facing Gemma, and inspected her own plate. She opened her eyes to find a pen to write a notation on the recipe when she looked up and found Gemma watching her. Her own fish sat untouched before her. What? Kay said. Don't tell me you won't eat it for some reason. She felt her defenses slam into place, her hackles ready to rise. No, it's not that, Gemma quickly cut in. I mean, I'm not sure I know how to eat it. Kay frowned at her in confusion. You don't know how to eat it, she repeated. I just mean you have this whole method, Gemma said, gesturing with a sweep of her calloused hand. I'm used to eating to fuel myself, not to savor it like you do. Oh, Kay said. I tried to do it once, Gemma said, and her cheeks went unexpectedly pink. The sight made the last of Kay's annoyance with the woman melt away. To admit you were on unsure footing was to make yourself vulnerable. Gemma was letting her guard down here. Kay could let herself meet her there. After I brought you the oysters, I thought about how you said food was meant to be experienced, not just gulped down, Gemma went on, and Kay felt her heart rate kick up at the fact that Gemma had remembered her words. You did? Kay asked, and Gemma nodded. I wanted to know what you tasted that made your face look like that, Gemma said, and Kay felt her own cheeks flushing. Flushing now. That look of complete enjoyment. Or, I don't know, peace maybe? I don't know. I'm not good with this shit. Gemma scratched at her head self-consciously with her short nails. What happened? Kay asked. When you tried. My sister caught me and asked me what the fuck I was doing, Gemma said ruefully, and Kay surprised herself by laughing. Gemma grinned at her, her brown eyes crinkling in the corners. Kay realized she was biting her lip to keep herself from smiling back. Well, there isn't an exact science to it, Kay said as she scooped another bite of fish onto her fork. A dish like this is meant to be eaten whole, not in component parts. You could eat any of the parts on their own, but the key is how they all work together. Like harmonies in a song, Gemma supplied. Kay nodded. Exactly. Each harmony might sound nice on its own, but when heard all together, that's the real artistry. Anyone can cook food, but what separates fine dining from a deli counter is the creativity in putting things together. So when trying a dish out, you want to take a small forkful of all the different pieces and try them together. She demonstrated on her own plate, then watched Gemma hesitantly copy her. Kay held up her fork before her face. You want to explore the dish with all 5 of your senses. Tell me what you see on your fork, Kay said, nodding to Gemma. Gemma began. And don't just say fish and oranges, Kay added. Rather than flip her off or frown, Gemma gave her a teasing smile. I see the white of the inside of the fish. It's shiny, Gemma said after a moment. Good, Kay said. Now close your eyes and tell me what you smell. Gemma raised her fork to her nose, closed her eyes, and sniffed. Kay could tell that Gemma felt a little silly, but the fact that she was game to push through the sensation and follow Kay's lead warmed something in Kay's chest. It was trust, she realized. Gemma was trusting her to guide her through something new without mocking her inexperience. Kay wasn't quite sure what to do with that. The end.
Oh, I think we need to rename this panel the hot women at work panel because oh, this is awesome. And you managed to make fish sexy. I don't know. I don't know how that's possible, but very nicely done. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Suzanne Lenoir. Is this like your 100th panel today? I feel like
I feel like I've been here a lot.
so funny. Okay, you
and
know
I'm
what
gonna-
you're doing.
Because I'm reading from Good Game, my latest contemporary romance, and this takes place in the esports world. So the team that the characters are involved with, you kind of think of it as an NFL team, sort of an NFL of video gamers. The first character is Lauren. She's marketing executive. The second character is Sam. She is a young woman who's just been pulled up to this team to go pro to try to help counter the fact that they've had some bad PR where they kind of have an old boy networky kind of bad behavior thing going on. So they get a PR problem. So they've hired Sam on. And because it's mostly men in this environment, they've asked Lauren to take Sam on and help her to integrate. But what that means, because the owner is quite sexist, my novel has been called The Beach Read on Sexism, we'll take it. He doesn't like the way Sam presents herself. And so this scene is they've taken the photos for introducing Sam as a team member, and Will, the owner, didn't like them. And now Lauren, the marketing executive, has to kind of break that to Sam. And so this scene takes place. That kind of gives you a better idea where we are. A late afternoon crowd filled the pizza restaurant. The walk-up order line was long, and after getting their slices, they stood around for a few minutes until 2 tall chairs at the front window freed up. The chairs were so close together, Lauren's knee touched Sam's when they settled in. Sam didn't move away, and she didn't want her to move away. Not a lot of room, said Lauren. That's okay. Pizza is worth the inconvenience, replied Sam. She took a giant bite of her slice. Wow, this is amazing. Told you. Lauren took a bite of her slice, but all she could think about was the spot where her knee touched Sam's. She liked it. All right, rip the Band-Aid off, said Sam. What? You've looked serious since you came to get me. Something is up. I'm ready for whatever it is. Lauren relaxed. Will looked at your photos, and he had some suggestions. What's the problem? Flustered, Lauren wondered how she could approach the actual issue without hurting Sam's feelings. We need to do a reshoot. Sam crossed her arms. I thought you said they were great. They are great. They look fantastic. Will wants us to soften them a little. She could see Sam speculating. Like what exactly? A little heavier makeup. Those lights can be really harsh. Even the guys get makeup to cover the uneven qualities of their skin. Sam touched her cheek. Did I have a zit or something? Lauren laughed. Sam was so sweet. She put a hand on her forearm, and Sam was surprisingly warm. Lauren wanted to brush her fingertips from her elbow to her wrist. Instead, she pulled her hand away. Listen, don't worry too much about it. We'll shoot with the same photographer. You two seem to get along well. She winced. Even she could hear the barb. Why had the flirting bothered her? Sam narrowed her eyes. Then she shrugged and took a bite of pizza. Whatever. I guess I can't say no. Lauren let her eat a little before she addressed the other issue. There's one other thing. You'll be spending the day with me on Thursday. We're going to meet with a stylist, do a little shopping, all paid for by the barrage. And this has to do with the photos? It does. We're going to try a few things to soften your appearance. How soft? She tried to lighten the mood. Not as far as your communion dress photo? Sam lowered her slice. I understand you feel more comfortable in sportswear, but we have to present a corporate image in interviews, and Will wants us to get a few photos of you in outfits other than the team jersey. Sam's expression fell. You're putting me in skirts and shit. Not necessarily. She hated making Sam feel uncomfortable with herself. I'm sure we can find some nice outfits that reflect the look Will wants and still meet your approval. What exactly is softening? I mean, tell me the real reason you're doing this. That is the real reason. She would not tell her what Will had actually said. There was no point. He was insensitive and he said things without thinking about others. Do I get any input in the color choices? Laura knew the answer would ultimately be no, but she needed Sam to feel like she had some ownership of this process. Absolutely. The word hurt her to say. We'll make it a nice day. Get some lunch beforehand or some ice cream afterwards. Ice cream for taking my soul. That doesn't sound like the best deal. Ouch. Sam narrowed her eyes. There's more, isn't there? I can see it on your face. Damn, she hated that she was an easy read when something bothered her. You'll be wearing a wig. A wig? Like an anime one? You are kinky, aren't you? She said in a light-hearted manner. The glimmer in her eye gave Lauren a little thrill. Lauren took a sip of water. She was glad she wasn't blushing. We need you to get you one you can wear until your hair grows out. Sam shook her head. Oh, hell no. I know it may make you feel uncomfortable. Uncomfortable? How about not me? I know this isn't ideal. You keep saying that you know, but do you really know? Sam cast her gaze over. You're exactly what they want. Beautiful, sophisticated, feminine. Hearing those words about herself made Lauren feel uncomfortable. How did Sam not know how sexually appealing she was? Will wants you to portray a certain look. Do the guys have to do this? Have any of them had to wear a wig? No. Sam opened her mouth to continue arguing. But they adhere to rules about hair care and facial grooming. Is it a breach of contract if I refuse? I'm not a lawyer, Sam. Sam pushed her plate away. Lauren could see her working her jaw. Sam wanted to say something, but she was holding back. Why is it I can't just play the game? Good question, thought Lauren. Because this is a business, and businesses need to make money. Will is the majority shareholder in the company. He thinks this will generate ticket merchandise sales and increase streaming revenue. Sam gave her a piercing stare. What do you think? Lauren thought Sam looked fantastic in the photos, that her androgyny would be attractive to straight and queer women. Lauren was certain of it. If she oversaw the company, she wouldn't change a thing. But she didn't, so she had to make this work. The team needs you. You're a great player. There are no women players in the league at all. I know, sorry, I am aware that this is a big ask for you, but at least try it until you get through the probationary period. You'll be locked in by then and you can start to push back. So you want me to stay. Did she want her to stay? Sam made her stomach flutter. She made her think about things she hadn't thought about in a long time. And thoughts of Sam had given Lauren the best masturbation orgasm she'd had in a while. And none of those things had to do with the team. Yes, I do. Good game. Oh, and a paper.
Officially changing the title of this panel to Hot Women at Work. That was great. Thank you. All right, Toni, I hope you're on board with this new topic.
Hope I can do it justice.
Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Sandy. Okay, so today I'm reading from Hollywood Hearts, and Hollywood Hearts is about an A-list celebrity named Mackenzie who falls for Riley. And unbeknownst to Mackenzie, Riley is a paparazzi, but not just any paparazzi, the paparazzi who took some photos of her a while back that ended up kind of causing her some complications in a scandalous kind of way. So the passage that I'm reading right now is the first time that their paths cross. Dog tired was the only way to describe how Riley was feeling, because holy hell, I'm getting too old for this, she grumbled softly to herself. And as she powered down the driver's side window, the melody of chimes sent her reaching for her phone. She swiped at the screen without focusing on the display name and hit the speaker icon. It's Riley. Hey, it's Joe. Joe calling at 3:30 in the morning meant only one thing. She perked up. Hey, Joe, what you got? Mackenzie Goman. Mackenzie Goman? Riley's brain shifted into high alert, as though a triple espresso had just kicked in. She added up what she knew. Mackenzie played the lead role in a superhero action series, and if the buzz from the industry trades was true, this season Mackenzie was commanding a brow-raising salary for her starring role in the franchise, now in its 7th and final season. A few exclusive photos of the reclusive actress, known for keeping a low profile, could easily fetch a couple grand each, if not more. I'm listening. She's scheduled for an early morning checkout. Get here soon, and you might catch her in the lobby. I'm on my way, thanks, Joe. She disconnected the call, cut across 2 lanes, and whipped a sharp U-turn. On the best of traffic days, getting to the other side of Beverly Hills took a good 30 minutes, so she pressed down on the pedal, interpreted the speed limit as a mere suggestion, and hoped a rookie cop from LA's finest wasn't lurking around a corner, eager to score their nightly quota of tickets. 20 minutes later, and ticket-free, she pulled up to the iconic hotel, placed her camera and laptop into her backpack, hopped out, exchanged keys for valet ticket, and scurried in. She caught a glimpse of Joe, who was one of 2, tending the front desk. The shake of his head as they made eye contact told her that Mackenzie had not yet checked out. She flopped into a seat in the back corner and tossed the backpack on the empty space next to her as she woke her phone and Googled Mackenzie. Within seconds, she was greeted with an array of photos taken at events and red carpet award shows. But pictures of her out and about without the glitzy wardrobe, the perfectly posed stance, or flawless makeup were non-existent. She opened a few more sites, hoping to unearth any little tidbit of information that might present a glimpse into the present-day life of Mackenzie Goman. But there was nothing personal, political, or topical that gave her even the slightest hint as to who she was. Seemed as though Mackenzie Goman liked to live in the shadows these days, something that was rare in a town where most celebrities fought for every inch of the spotlight. Hope you enjoy your stay. Joe's raised voice penetrated Riley's inquiring mind. She glanced up, and sure enough, Mackenzie was standing in front of him. She was flanked by another woman, shorter and curvier, who stood quiet yet close. 2 small suitcases on wheels were beside them. As Joe addressed Mackenzie, Riley slid her camera from the backpack, pressed the viewfinder to her eye, focused the lens, and waited. After a moment, Mackenzie shifted her position to face her companion, and a butterfly emerged and took an impressive lap around Riley's stomach. With no noticeable makeup, Mackenzie was even more beautiful. Riley steadied herself, chased away the rogue butterfly, pressed her shutter down, and took rapid-fire shots as Mackenzie drew her companion into a loving embrace. "You make a beautiful couple," Riley spoke the assumption as she continued to click away, silently invading their privacy until they finished with Joe and exited the lobby side by side. With a hurried and synchronized motion, Riley retrieved her laptop and downloaded the shots. She scanned the dozens of thumbnails and narrowed them down to 20, her money shots, the ones that would fetch top dollar. She uploaded them, sent the link to her 3 primary clients, and drummed her fingers on her laptop while she waited. Within minutes, a winning bid came in at $15,000 for 8, a little higher than expected, but she knew a reclusive A-list celebrity with her arm draped over a mysterious woman would fetch a nice headline for the tabloid-style magazine, which in turn translated into her fetching a nice price for the pics. Sold. She hit a key, confirming the deal. The money would be in her account within the hour. Not bad for a few minutes of work, she muttered as she transferred $500 to Joe's account, slapped the laptop closed, and returned it and her camera back to her and her camera to the backpack. Content after a profitable yet grueling day, she stood, stretched, and yawned as the adrenaline rush wore off and another wave of fatigue hit her. It was time to go home. As she stood curbside by the valet kiosk, digging into her front pocket of her jeans for the ticket, she glanced at the woman standing several feet to her right, head bowed towards her phone. It was Mackenzie. Riley quickly surveyed the area for her companion, but the other woman was nowhere to be found. She snorted and cynically wondered if the woman had been a hookup as Mackenzie glanced over and locked eyes with her. "Sorry, I didn't mean to stare," Riley said. I just really enjoy your show. She quickly chided herself on such a cliched response, one she was sure Mackenzie had heard 1,000 times. Yet as she watched Mackenzie give her a not-so-subtle once-over, Riley couldn't deny the heat that was building from within. "Thanks," Mackenzie flashed her pearly whites as a metallic blue Beamer pulled up. And before she folded into the car, she tilted her head towards Riley. "Nice jacket," she called out. Riley brushed her hand down the multicolored patch leather coat she had just purchased from a funky little clothing shop on Melrose Avenue. And as another tingly sensation settled in her stomach, she watched Mackenzie drive away. A moment later, her beat-up SUV appeared in front of her. She handed a 10 to the valet, who looked like he couldn't be a day over 16, and settled in. She pulled her reflective navigator-style sunglasses out of the glove compartment, placed her earbuds in, and hoped her morning playlist would keep her awake as she merged with the ebb and flow of the morning traffic that was already thick with more cars than space as she headed to Hollywood Hills.
Oh, what a great ending. That was perfect, and perfect for early curiosity too. I love it.
Yeah.
If everyone wants to jump back on, we have just about 5 minutes. If you enjoyed these readings and would like to pick up these books, all the links are in the chat, and I'll also post a link to our sale that we have going on. All our 2025 books through March of 2026 are on sale this weekend, so grab them. All right, we have just a few minutes, so I thought since a few of you haven't been on too many panels, that this would be a great opportunity to plug your book. So if you have your book, you can show it, or you can just tell us the title, and you could start with, if you love X, Y, and Z, then you will love my book. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So I have two books that came out in 2025. And my first book that came out is Emma by the Sea. And if you like Emma by Jane Austen, you would like this book because it's a contemporary retelling of Emma set in a tiny coastal town in northern Massachusetts. There's an age gap, there's friends to lovers, there's, all that fun stuff just reimagined for today's age. And then my other book that came out in 2025 is called It's Kind of a Bad Idea. And when I think about my three books, this one I would put at on a spectrum of emotional intensity. This one is at the lightest end. And it's just, basically there are two bridesmaids, co-maids of honor, in a wedding who end up secretly hooking up over the course of the wedding year, behind the bride's back. One of them is the bride's younger sister, and the other is the bride's oldest friend. And, all sorts of shenanigans ensue from that.
Well, no wonder it's called It's Kind of a Bad Idea. That's
Yeah.
that's awesome. Ronnie, how about you? If you love, you will love my book.
If you love sort of intrigue where a woman has to run away and get a new identity, you would really be into The Secrets of Viridian Hill. I'll hold it up again for you. This woman witnesses a murder, and she has to take off in order to survive because the police aren't helping her. In fact, they're kind of making her a suspect, and she freaks out and runs, and she moves to the Oregon coast and takes up residence there with a woman named Abigail, who was in the chapter I just read. And Abigail has secrets of her own. And then in comes Dr. Gianna Walford, who becomes curious about both of them, but especially Kiara. And that's what The Secrets of Viridian Hill is all about. It's about secrets. So if you like intrigue and secrets and new identities and running from a killer and starting your life over, you'll like Secrets of Viridian Hill.
If you like running from a killer, it's
Just everyday stuff that we all deal with.
Who doesn't like that? Awesome. Suzanne, if you like.
If you like workplace romances and forced proximity, then you're gonna enjoy a good game. Also, you don't need to understand video gaming to read this. I mean, I tried to put some elements of it in there in a way that hopefully doesn't sound like a lecture. But one of the things I wanted to do with this book was make people aware of the kind of abuse that you get as a female gamer, and I am a female gamer and have been for a very long time. So when you read some of the sort of abuse, which is very small in the story, but it's there because I really wanted to make sure that there was a subplot that talks about women in gaming and how difficult this is. So I think that if you like a layered book that's got a little bit more, because there's also some, one of the characters is Korean American, so there's some identity issues there. There's identity issues around Sam's androgyny. There's a number of different kinds of subplots running in this book. So if you like something that's a little more layered, but like I said, reads like a beach read apparently, this is it.
Awesome. A little bit of everything. And Toni, tell us why we will love Hollywood Hearts.
Hollywood Hearts, title says it all. If you like Hollywood, if you like celebrities, if you like the behind the scenes of Hollywood, I go into depth on a lot of stuff. So if you like that, this is the book to read.
Anything in there that's kind of a bad idea?
That's a bad idea?
Is there anything that anyone does that's kind of a bad idea?
No, except for, the paparazzi.
Okay,
So,
no scandals.
Oh, it's a scandal.
Oh,
it's a
all
scandal.
right. There is one.
Yeah, she takes a picture. It's blown out of proportion. It's completely out of context. It turns into a scandal. And shenanigans ensue.
Okay. All right. You can check those out in the chat roll. Grab them while they are on sale. Thank you all so much for being here. This has been an amazing, amazing weekend. We appreciate you. As mentioned earlier, if you didn't catch something, you can find it on our YouTube channel sometime this week. Thank you all to our amazing panelists, and we will see you next time. Bye.